Hello everyone, Jesse Webb, Traders Pro. Market conditions continue to move to the upside. We're seeing just jumping in here to the buy-sell ratio to begin with, seeing that at a 1.67, so almost 2 to 1, approaching that 2 to 1. You can see 2,000 buys for 1,200-ish sales or so. So continuing to move towards that overall upside. We're seeing the direction alerts approaching that zero crossover line, and we're sitting now at negative 1.3. So still just kind of plugging along here, working towards that level. More than likely we're going to cross over it and hit that, and because that is so slow moving, even if we have a little downturn currently at the resistance levels, we'll probably see that cross over here within the next few days or so. What is today, Wednesday? Yeah, I could see a couple more days of that and continuing to trend higher. We're seeing on the shorter term indicators, we've got two things of note here today. Number one is that we are right at a resistance area on S&P 500, and we're going to be testing that area. It looks like futures are down a little bit today, and so we'll run into some resistance here. Whether we can, pull back, I still think that will be a buying opportunity as far as a pullback and looking to buy into that bounce, and then watching for some continuation to that upside, a breakout. So that'd be the bias that I'd be focused on right here at these levels, even on a pullback. And we're seeing momentum continue that upside. Breadth not quite catching up, but getting there. A little bit of hesitancy there in breadth, which is not surprising based on the way that the price pattern of S&P is looking right here. It's just very indecisive price movement in the last, really in the last 6 months now. If we take a look at, we looked at buy-sell ratio, we look at sentiment levels. I mentioned yesterday that we've got that upper range right here where we could see, we're in that upper half, and I mentioned this on the downside before as well. When we have this, if I were to draw a line kind of through that halfway point, it also can act as kind of a trend indicator to where when we're on the upper side of that, we're obviously trending to the upside, and we can have pullbacks inside of that range, but we're in that range solidly to the upside. We just want to be a little bit more cautious at the tips of those extremes, and we're clear down here and we're clear up here. We want to be aware of those, and we're kind of in that area now where we need, price is at new highs, but this indicator has not quite made new highs, and so we may get a little bit of a divergence here, but nonetheless we're in that upper range where we could get a little bit more of a pullback at these areas. If we look at S&P 500 directly, I think I already have that chart pulled up here. Nope, not the one. Let's pull it SPY. And you can see if I pull this out a year, you can see we're just sitting right at that upper range. We do have a pretty nice looking bullish profile minus that long-term downtrend, and this is really our bear market in the S&P 500, and it's getting closer and closer. That's essentially going to swing when we see that direction alerts bull market signal swing over as well. We have seen higher highs here, or excuse me, higher lows. I do that each time, higher lows, and potentially higher highs right here. This is that area where we're at right now. That's a little bit of indecision and some resistance right here, and we've had a pretty nice run. It's we've been rallying now most of the last 6 weeks, and so we definitely could afford to have a little bit of a pullback and still be bullish. Back down to these ranges, back down to that 405 range potentially on SPY, where we could see some support. That's what we would want to see maybe a retracement and some support, and then enough bullish activity to be able to push things to the upside. So I'd be watching those areas on S&P. A couple things of note here also that I wanted to point out on the sectors. When we look at sectors, we've got construction leading, which is an interesting set of stocks. We've gone through this before of this group of stocks where we've got mostly home builders, and they have these, a lot of them have these really solid uptrends. These are the leaders in the group. Those are the ones you want to be focusing on that have this kind of a bullish profile. They're continuing this direction. They don't look like this, and then a little pop right here, although sometimes those kind of stocks will pop in. You know, these are the areas ideally to be looking for, but when we're looking for continuation of a trend, then we want to see stocks that are attempting a breakout, maybe just gone from a holdback to a buy. And we're seeing that in a lot of these home building stocks right now. One other thing to look for on the indices, if you go in here, you've got your top indices, equity indices to follow, and you can just simply go through and glance and click on. We did see industrials move back down a little bit. We had 21 there yesterday, back down to 17. So we're seeing a couple stocks maybe pulling back, and again, that's kind of what I would expect right here at these resistance areas, is a little bit of a pullback, an opportunity to build up a watch list again of stocks that you may want to add into on a next on a pullback. But these overall indices, if you were to click on one of these, let's say S&P mid cap, and you were to open up that list and you were to pull in that top group of stocks, you're going to see that list right here, that top group of that particular indice. So you can focus on the top 10 of that indice. You could focus on the top 10 of, you know, whatever it is you're looking for. If you're looking for transports, Russell stocks, which are your mid and small cap stocks, you can quickly scan those by clicking on the stock and then looking at that top list in that group. So here even on the Dow, you can see the top 5-10 stocks as far as rank that are trending. ExxonMobil, Merck, JP Morgan actually popped back up there again. That's interesting. We talked about JP Morgan. I mentioned it last week in another recording. Using the reversal strategy pattern, which is, if I were to just take this chart and I were to go out a year, did I have a year? I think I did, and then adding in these fib lines. I did a recording where we talked about this retracement pattern and a bounce around that area, and that's a nice looking example of looking for those pullbacks into that buy zone, that fib retracement buy zone, and then getting a strong bounce here. JP Morgan really has, you know, that was and is probably the strongest bank in the country. So all of this pullback right here, really that was unwarranted for the most part. With JP Morgan, you're getting a bounce right there. So you go from early entry with the reversal strategy, which is looking for that pullback, and you can also click over and toggle, and this toggle will find stocks that are in that retracement pattern already. And then you can switch, once you're in the trade or in a partial amount of that trade, then you can actually switch that over and go to the momentum strategy. So you're going from early entry with the reversal to momentum, and that's a way to build up positions as well. A couple things for you to think about today. I hope you have a great day today.